What's happening, comic fans? It is Mike from the Hardcover Comic here. Hope everyone's doing well. Let us know down below. Hope you're all staying safe and sound, having a good time, enjoying your comic books or whatever other sort of medium you're into. Today I wanted to talk about a series that is probably relatively unknown, but it's by one of my favorite creators. At least he kickstarted the whole thing, Grant Morrison. This is his title, 18 Days. Which is a story that, like I said, I don't think many people have heard of. And the only reason I heard about it is because I love Grant Morrison and I happened to stumble upon it at some point in my local comic book shop. But this was a title published by Graphic India. I think they're called Graphic Pop now, if I'm not mistaken. But they're a very small publisher. Of course, they're based out of India, based on the name. And 18 Days is a story that Grant Morrison adapted from the Mahabharata, which is this epic Sanskrit poem, one of two epic poems that I believe is, is a huge piece. I mean, I've never read the thing myself personally. I've only experienced a little chunk of 18 Days, which is literally the 18-day battle that takes place within this storyline. From what I've researched and seen, it actually takes up a very large chunk of the Mahabharata. Now, before I start getting into this thing too much, I do want everyone to understand that this is all relatively new to me. So if I'm butchering names, if I'm butchering facts about things, I do apologize. I did my research as much as I could. I'm trying to make this as accurate as I possibly can, because I know there are probably some hardcore fans of the source material. From whatever may be a cultural perspective, a religious perspective, and all that. So I'm going to try to do my best. If I butcher some names, I do apologize genuinely. So to give you some very basic background and origin info on the Mahabharata, and basically the origin and the founding stones of what it's I guess what the story talks about. There are essentially these 4 seasons, ages, that humanity goes through. And the storyline 18 Days takes place between the 3rd and the 4th age, the Dvapara Yuga and the Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga happens to be the time we are living in now, the time of regular man, and all the previous seasons had super gods, perfect beings, near perfect beings, and everything's sort of been deteriorating up until this point, and now we're in the Kali Yuga season. So the story 18 Days, like I said, takes place sort of at the end of the 3rd season, moving into the 4th season, and the battle is between these two families of cousins, the Kauravas and the Pandavas. And basically, in the story itself, you get a lot of really great information. It's not just a huge story about a battle. You get to see characters interact with each other, do really unexpected things if you're not familiar with the source material. The way they handle the relationships between one another. These are, at the end of the day, cousins. They're family. And you get to find out piece by piece what happened to these families, why they got separated, why there is conflict between them. And you get to learn more about the characters as they, engage in battle, and then also reveal their origin stories when they were children, when they were adults, teenagers. It's really great. At the end of some of these issues, you also get these sort of, I'd call them origin stories, these little 6-page stories about a specific character and their origin, where they came from, how they got their epic weapons, how they got their training, what their ancestry is like, what they've experienced in their life that's led them up to this point. Really, really, really well done. So during this 18-day battle, the Kurukshetra War, you get to see these two families come face to face. On the Pandava side, you have characters like Yudhish, Bhima, Arjuna, Krishna, Satyaki. And then on the Kaurava side, you have Duryodhana, Bhishma, Drona, Karna. These really epic master fighters who all have various techniques and weapons that they use. They all have these super awesome epic weapons and armor. I know Grant Morrison and the rest of the creative team that was involved with this, I'll mention their names shortly. They sort of did add some fantasy and sci-fi elements to this to make it more exciting and more visually appealing. You do get to quickly see, and you sort of choose your own sides at the same time, because you do see these differences between the Pandavas and the Kauravas. The Kauravas have demons and ghosts on their team, while the Pandavas are very empathetic, and they're very calm and collected, and they're trying to, in my opinion, do the right thing. Of course, we may see things unravel at the end of the day, but that's one thing that's really cool about this story, is you get to see the flaws in every single character. So while they may be these incredible super warriors, you get to see the mistakes they've made throughout their lives, the mistakes they're making throughout the battle, the respect that they have for tradition and morals and pride and everything else that they hold dear in their culture. It's really a beautiful thing. It truly is. So a small spoiler, like at the start of the war, the Pandavas leaders, they all go to the Kauravas because the Kauravas have elder wisdom there. Characters like Bhishma, they go to Bhishma and Drona and they ask for their blessing. They ask them for advice in this war, what they must do. Of course, you get the element of Krishna as well. He's sort of he's a character who's decided to put down his arms and be peaceful and not fight this war, but he still has a stake in the battle, and he still needs this battle to go on because, of course, this battle is what brings in the fourth season. It's prophesized, it's destiny for this battle to occur. And so it's a very interesting mix of all this, the idea of destiny, but also these characters making these decisions and sort of leading the way into the age of Kali Yuga. It's a really fascinating, fantastic thing. Unfortunately, the series, from what I'm aware, from what I've been able to pick up and purchase and find myself here in Canada, there's only 21 issues that got published. Definitely didn't conclude the storyline because issue 21 does end with to be continued. So unfortunately, the actual series itself never came to a conclusion in print. I don't believe it's been concluded in the digital format either, which is a shame. You can pick up the trade paperbacks if you'd like, if you can't find the single issues. There are, I believe, 3 trade paperbacks that collect the first 3 story arcs, about 18 issues or so. I highly recommend checking them out. They're fantastic, although if you can find the single issues with the covers by Mukesh Singh, they are so beautiful. I mean, some of the absolute best covers I've ever seen. So in terms of creators, you have Grant Morrison, who sort of writes the first arc or so, and then he's co-writing these arcs with a bunch of writers as well, Sharad Devarajan, Gautam Chopra, Ashwin Pandey. So they sort of take over the title afterwards and sort of continue forward with the idea and the concept that Grant Morrison had worked on and developed. You get artists like Jivan J. Kang, Salmin Patel, Francesco Biagini working on the interior artwork and the covers as well. Variant covers by Mukesh Singh are absolutely unbelievably stunning. Now, I do want to mention there is a hardcover available on Amazon. I have purchased that hardcover. I know it looks like it collects the storyline, but it's sort of this concept art, landscape style book that you guys are seeing on the screen now. It's a very nice book. It's nice for what it is, but it is not the complete storyline. It is not the comic book. You do get, the story that Grant Morrison planned out, so you get to see how he incorporated the Mahabharata and how he was influenced by it, of course, and his ideas and all the characters. And you get some amazing artwork by Mukesh Singh in there as well. Some of the best artwork you'll literally ever see for a comic book, I must say. And it's a relatively cheap hardcover, so if you do want it just for the sake of having, a hardcover that stands out on your shelf, if you're a Grant Morrison completionist, it's a nice book. It's truly a nice book, but it is not the hardcover collecting the entire series of the comic or whatever Amazon says it is. You can also check the date that it's been available from, and then cross-reference that with when the actual comic books were released. There are also a web comic version of the series available on YouTube last time I checked, although they also did not complete the entire series there. A little more info on Graphic India in general, if you're interested. They have a handful of titles that were released. 18 Days, there was another title Grant Morrison had started working on called Avatar X, which only got 3 issues to print, which is a shame. It was a really interesting title anyway, and it had great artwork in it. I was looking forward to seeing where that would go, but didn't go very far. Still kind of cool if you're a Grant Morrison completionist. They have titles like Devi, Reincarnation Man, Shadow Tiger, The Sadhu, so there's a whole bunch to check out if you're a fan of trying something new. These are completely different comics. These is an entire universe to explore, an entirely different culture from what we're used to here in the West. It's very, very fascinating. What really gripped me about 18 Days was the characters themselves and the fact that while they are these incredible super warriors, super gods with these amazing powers and gifts and incredible knowledge, they still fall to the downfalls of mortality and just being a person on this planet. Everyone, no matter how competent and skilled you are and how masterful you are at something, you still have flaws, you still have problems, you still have a tough time interacting with people, and of course family gets really, really difficult in particular. That's always one of the biggest struggles in life, is getting along with your family. So it's a really enticing title for that reason. The artwork's really great. I love the vibrant colors. I love the fantasy aspects and sci-fi aspects that were added to it. It makes it very vibrant and exciting, but then also getting sort of the cultural integration of it and seeing sort of the the historical culture and mythicism behind the Indian culture is fascinating as well. It's something completely new for me. I was very happy to explore it and sort of learn through a comic book about this ancient epic poem that people revere. It was very, very cool for that reason. So if you're interested in checking out something new, if you're a huge fan of Grant Morrison, I highly recommend 18 Days. It's fantastic. Pick up the trade paperbacks if you can. Pick up that big hardcover if you want to. Pick up the single issues if you can. Whatever you can, check it out. Let me know what you guys thought below. Have you read the series? Have you ever heard of it? Is this your first time hearing about it? Do you have other titles from Graphic India that you highly enjoyed that you recommend I check out? Let us know down in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. This is what we do, post content like this regularly, talking about smaller books, lesser known books, top fives, collected editions, everything and anything under the sun. Hopefully we'll be able to do a live stream soon. If you're interested in winning or having the chance to win a hardcover comic, check out our Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can have the chance to win an omnibus. Our winner last month got the Preacher Omnibus Volume 1, and August is wrapping up soon, so we're going to have a new book to give away very, very shortly. Thank you all very much for tuning in. This was Mike from the Hardcover Comic. As always, until next time, you stay classy, Internet.